Emma Hayes needs to finalize the U.S. Women's National Team Olympic roster by July 3rd. If anything, it'll probably be released sooner. I've watched the film. I think there's going to be some surprises, but really the only thing guaranteed at this point is that there's going to be disappointment. Welcome back to Busy Watching Women's Soccer. I'm Bridie, and this video covers my full Olympic roster predictions with a film study from a South Korea series for every player I consider to be on the bubble. Before I get to the bubble players, I want to talk about the locks. In goal, I have Alyssa Nair, who could forget at the Gold Cup when she saved 3 Canadian penalties and stepped up, took one herself, and then turned around a month later and did the exact same thing at the She Believes Cup. So as long as injury is not an issue for her, she is a lock. For my center back pairing, I'm going with Naomi Girma and Tierna Davidson. They have both been playing excellent. There is no justification needed for this. For my right back, I'm going with Emily Fox, and this is a player that I would really love to do a full video on. I just think she's kind of a dog, and she has absolutely the cleanest passing mechanic I have ever seen. If you want to learn how to pass the ball, watch Emily Fox. At left back, I have Jenna Neiswanger. I did a video on her earlier in the year, and I think she's only gotten better since, offensively and defensively, so another absolute lock. The first midfielder make my list is going to be more of a defensive midfielder. That's Sam Coffey, and I think she's just been such a fantastic ball winner and distributor. The more I've watched her play over the last few months, the more I'm confident she's going to be going to the Olympics. Second midfielder I'm bringing, the captain, Lindsay Horan. No explanation needed there. And my final midfielder is going to be the incredibly talented Rose Lavelle. She's going to be on any roster I put together, and I think the same for Emma Hayes. She might be injured more than you're comfortable with for this type of Olympic roster, but the thing is, if she's injured, it's because she's doing inhumane, athletic things like that. Inhumane isn't even a word. It's like extraterrestrial things like that. Who needs a meniscus? Rose Lavelle on my roster. Finally, for the forwards, I'm going with the trio of Mallory Swanson, Trinity Rodman, and Sophia Smith. I think they have looked so on fire lately. The chemistry is there. Things are clicking. You just can't even consider breaking these three up at this point. Things just look so good. So this is the foundation of my roster, and when I think about building it out, there's two potential strategies that I think Hayes might look to. The first is going to prioritize giving the players rest, and the second is going to prioritize flexibility. So what do I mean by these? In a system that prioritizes rest, you're going to have a dedicated backup for your center back and your outside backs, which means taking 6 players on defense. And if you prioritize flexibility, you're going to have 5 players on defense and look for someone that can do all 2 of those roles, plus potentially something in midfield or maybe up front as well. As a backup to Naomi Girma and Tierna Davidson, there's really only one player I'm considering, and that is Sam Staub. I say that because I think we got enough of a look at Sauerbrunn and Dahlkemper during the Gold Cup, and it was just clear they just cannot hang at this level right now. So Sam Staub is the one I'm considering, and we got to see a decent amount of her in the Korea games. Defensively, I think Staub looked nice. She looked very composed, calm, confident. I don't think she was asked to do anything crazy, but what she was asked to do, she did very nicely. I think she did a nice job protecting the box, which was maybe something I was a little bit critical of before when I did a small preview. So it was nice to see that these clearances were good, confident clearances. The thing I think she did exceptional at was stepping up into the ball, and what I didn't catch the first time in all these clips is every single time she does this, it turns into a pass and possession. So she really has a great read on this, good vision. I thought that was really cool. Did this with her head too, so very consistent in that. Offensively, I think she looked good. Passing, she was calm. I mean, this is a wobbly ball. She doesn't look worried or anything. But I feel like she was maybe on the wrong side of the risk-reward ratio. A lot of the passes that she took were, good quality passes, but they weren't imaginative, inventive, outgoing. And this just looked like a player that was with this team for the first time and didn't want to make a mistake. I think the passing got better as the game went on, and she got more confident, tried things that were a little bit more outgoing. But, once the U.S. is up 3-0, she's pulling off balls like this, and you can really see why she could be an asset to this team. And then, who could forget? Still getting in on the attack. That was just barely off. So I think she's looked great with the opportunities that have come her way. As a dedicated backup for the outside backs, I'm looking at Casey Kruger for that. I think she's played very well for Club and Country over the past several months. I think she did a really nice job in this series with progressive passing. I think she seemed confident playing a variety of different passes, and she used that to really help the team move the ball up the pitch. Some of these passes were just pretty neat passes. And then sometimes I did feel like the passing was a little bit off, and it looked kind of dramatic when it was off because the balls were a little bit ambitious, but you can see this one is really just a miscommunication with Niswanger. And then this one, similar thing, ambitious ball, and it's just a miscommunication, but we've done mistime. So it happens. Defensively, I think she looked pretty good. She's not doing anything too crazy here. I like that she doesn't over defend, really just kind of follows his play and gives it what it needs. So again, not too much asked of her there, but delivered with what was asked. And then switching gears to take a look at this other strategy, I think if you're looking for a more rangy backup, that has to be Emily Sonnet. We've seen her do this before, and then she also offers something in the midfield as well. So certainly more flexibility there. And she's out here, and what I really like about this is just the discipline, right? So we just see her getting into position at the edge of the box for this restart. There's really no pressure on her. It's not like it needs to be done, but she's just listening to instructions. And then here, resets where she's supposed to be. It's very boring looking stuff, but if you want somebody to play center back, right back, defensive midfielder, if this person needs to be able to listen to instructions, and Sonnet is like just that. She just gives you what you need. Defensively, I think she looks fine. It's never flashy, but she gets the job done. And, again, good distributor of the ball. I think she does a decent job at that. This one, really nice play tracking. And then even when there's a miscommunication with the keeper, just puts it somewhere safe, has that conversation around what's happening, why. Getting back into position here, and you can see that was a great decision because now she's in position to block that. She just has a really nice read on things. She doesn't really bite on tricky plays like that, and then just clears it out nicely. So I just think she's a good, reliable player. Also, go back, rewatch this clip, and look at Corbin Albert run into the ref. I don't know why, it just cracked me up. Moving on to the midfield, and I have created this scale, the fire rating system. So on the far right, fiery side, that's going to be more attacking midfielders. And then towards Sam Staub is going to be more of the defensive midfielders. First midfielder I want to take a look at, bang in the middle, Corbin Albert. I thought Albert looked really, really fantastic at the Gold Cup. So good that I put together a video for her. Since then, obviously, things have happened, and understandably, I don't think she's looked quite as good. So she's in the midfield over here, and what South Korea is doing is they're basically using these midfielders in a line of 4, and they are coordinating their press with this forward here. So what's happening is ball comes out or Corbin comes out, and then they move in relation to her and the ball. And she just looked like she was really struggling to figure this out. Where should she be? How to make things happen? She just looked stuck and ineffective. So that was probably my first issue with this. Other times, she was just getting beat on stuff she probably shouldn't be getting beat on. But it's not like she was terrible all the time. Sometimes, she's winning balls, sending them out, doing the same kind of stuff that she was doing at the Gold Cup. Other times, she's playing some pretty dang nice passes. And when those didn't work out, she was just in position and available to keep things moving on, just doing that good midfield work. I also think she's still kind of holding out on us offensively, so that's another thing to keep an eye on. Somebody that has made themselves part of a conversation, Lily Yohannes. Wow, what a fantastic debut. Team instantly looked better when she came on. She was just connecting passes, and she just kind of looked like that connective tissue in the midfield, winning balls, sending them out into good spaces, sustaining attacks. The fact that this chance came so quickly after she came on, fantastic. And then as she got more comfortable, which did not take long at all, she's dealing out balls like this, just constantly getting this team into the box. I think she showed fantastic vision, such rangy passing. it was just really exciting watching her. And she just looks so comfortable back there. She looks like such a young professional. She looks so calm. There's no nerves. I couldn't believe it. There was no risk aversion. She's just playing her regular game. And then this was just really fantastic maturity. Just kind of watch her positioning here as she pops in, realizes there's space, pops back out. It's just really lovely tracking, really lovely finishing. I cannot believe this kid is 16. Just a really, really joyous moment for the U.S. Women's National Team. It is hard not to get too excited. She looked really good. I do think she looks a lot more comfortable on offense than she does on defense. We didn't really see her tested there, so there's still some questions, but people are familiar with her now. That is not a problem anymore. The last midfielder I'm considering is so far right on this scale as Katarina Macario, who could play in a forward capacity as well, which is a bonus for her. Out over here, I think, sometimes she just looked ineffective and unsettled. This doesn't really look like a player that's going to impact the game right now. And I just think it took a while for her to get warmed up, and even when she was fully warmed up, it wasn't fantastic. Like there, she's just beat way too easily. Sometimes she was turning the ball over because she was trying something really creative, which I don't mind as much, but there was just a lot of disconnect. It's not like things were always bad. I do think, she sticks with the play, she makes things happen, so that one was a little bit weird there, but she's still getting in there, distributing the ball. That pass looks a little weird, but on the next play, I think it's very much on purpose. She did it a few times. So there, but getting in on the attack a little bit. And then similar thing here, just kind of bopping it along, seeing what's going to happen, but staying central, supporting the play. And then misses that same pass again. So she's got good vision. This kind of struck me as a type of play that was maybe planned. I do think she understands the system and what's being asked of her. And look, sometimes she's just going to do the basic things just really nicely. I don't know. I don't feel like we got a good enough look. I don't know if it's just like jet lag or nerves or what, but she just looked a little bit off, and I think there needs to be a little bit more time maybe to build some of that chemistry. So 3 great options to choose from in the midfield. Moving on to the forwards, I'm going to use the center circle for my strikers, my center forwards, players that are going to be more central, and then the touch lines is going to be for people that are maybe more natural wingers. The first player, and I would consider this to be more of a winger, Crystal Dunn, who, let's not forget, can do some defense as well, has done that with the team plenty of times. So Dunn is an interesting one to me. Some of the passing is, really good. That is not an easy pass to pull off. Very pretty, great progressive pass, leads to a decent chance. Sometimes it was really good. Sometimes it was so good. Oh, I thought it was a backflip. Sometimes it was so good, but she helped herself out. Like, this one's nothing fancy, but this is her goal. And, she really has, the breakout pass here to Alex Morgan to get this started. But I was not sold on this goal as wow, we have to bring Dunn as a forward. I like the play tracking here. I like the speed. But watch this girl. This number 22 is South Korea's left back, who is supposed to be right there already. So she is behind the play, tracking back, and then it almost looks like she kind of slows down once she thinks she's close enough and just never gets in front of Dunn. So sure, it's a goal. I don't love it. It's a goal because someone was out of position. And then, sometimes she just looks clumsy. Just the footwork just wasn't there, and she just looked unthreatening and just easy to get around, honestly. She looked easy to get past, and sometimes she was just straight beat. And it was to the point where, I don't know, maybe this is a bit of a defensive liability, which is confusing to say for a player that you think one of the benefits is that she can play some defense as well. So, I just don't know. She has to get completely bailed out by Corbin Albert there. It's a big question mark for me right now. A forward that I think offers a lot more range is Jaden Shaw. I think she can play up top centrally. She can play wide. She can play in the midfield as well. She looked fantastic at the Gold Cup, but recently just off. That one's flat-footed. And here, chasing down, she just doesn't ever really look like she's going to cause problems. This pass was so terrible, I didn't even comprehend who that was supposed to be to. And sometimes when the passing's off, it's just a disconnect with teammates, but it's still not great. That one Niswanger wanted it square, causes a little bit of frustration. I do think she looks a lot nicer close to the net. This area where she's right now, I think this is where she does her best work, but it just was not the Jaden Shaw that I feel like I'm used to seeing. A lot of the time what would happen is she'd get right here, release a shot, and just be off, have it blocked, have entry into the box denied, like that, just there. So it's got to be frustrating for her, and maybe it is knocking her confidence a little bit. Even ones like this, I mean, it is just barely off, and these things as a player, you know, they can get in your head a little bit. I do think that might be what's going on, so hopefully she's past that soon and gets back to feeling like herself, because I really enjoy watching her play. I've got one bubble player left, so of course it has to be Alex Morgan. Feels weird calling her a bubble player, but there you go. And she's only really being considered for one role, that center forward striker role. So this is another player who just, what are we doing? What are we doing? She doesn't look effective. Sometimes she's turning it over without even being challenged, which is worst case scenario as a player. And then sometimes the passing is like so bad that it's comical. The amount of time this ball rolls for is painful. But, you know, she's still classic Alex Morgan. This play here, ooh, that little fake step allows this play to happen quickly, and without her, this done goal does not happen. I think this is really great vision, moving into the center of a pitch to put herself in a better spot. She doesn't like what she sees with Shaw, so for whatever reason, moves it over to Niswanger. Really great play tracking here. I want you to watch how she's going to let Dunn take the shot, but then goes for the overflow in case there's a second opportunity. I don't know. I do not know. Sometimes she looks great. Sometimes she looks terrible. I think she looked fantastic at the Gold Cup, but just not consistent since. And consistency is a real thing in this sport. You may have noticed an omission from my bubble players list, and that would be Lynn Williams, whose name image, I'm having a really hard time today. Lynn Williams, whose name, image, and likeness I have used just for advertising purposes. There are several reasons I don't think Lynn is going to be going to the Olympics. One of them, I just think her style of play is like classic NWSL, classic transitional play. I just don't see her fitting into this roster. But the bigger reason is, look at how she's dressed for this Challenge Cup game against San Diego to start the season. And then this is her dressed for the most recent NWSL game. Even celebrating her goal record there, 79 NWSL goals. She's not dressed because she's been injured. And so for me, that is the biggest thing, is like, she hasn't even been healthy enough to really put herself in consideration. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. All right, time to put myself out there and make some predictions. I forgot to leave space on this graphic for a goalkeeper. That is terrible, but I'm going with Casey Murphy because this save is nasty. I love that she doesn't cheat on the screen there. She seems like the team is considering her as a backup. That's the role she's been playing. Doing a good job. I don't see much reason to change it. So my 12th spot, I can count. My 12th spot on the roster is going to Casey Murphy. The big decision here becomes, do we go with the rest strategy or do we go with flexibility strategy? And honestly, I kind of see Emma Hayes going with the rest approach. I'm going to say Staub and Kruger. I just feel like Hayes is a coach that's talked a lot about the importance of rest, how difficult and challenging the players' schedules are getting right now. So do you want to go into the Olympics with 6 defenders? I don't know if that's ideal, but Staub and Kruger have both looked very good. They both look like they're capable of attacking and defending. I'm going out there a little bit with this, but I think it might happen. If I'm taking Staub and Kruger, there really isn't space for Sonnet, so I'm going to be considering dedicated midfield options only. Of these 3 midfielders, the first one I'm going to take is one of the most time and experience on the team. That's Corbin Albert. The play has dropped off recently, but on paper, everything she needs is there. The other midfielder, I just think it's going to be Kat Macario. I just feel like I can't see Emma Hayes calling her up and telling her she's not coming. Yes, Viplay has been a little bit disjointed, but she doesn't have a lot of experience with this team. I think she does have a lot of high-level football experience, which is going to come in useful. So I think it's going to be Kat Macario. Now, Yohannes has really made herself part of this conversation. I do think she is going to the Olympics, but I think she's going to go as an alternate. There's 4 alternate spots. Those players cannot be activated unless there's a really serious injury to a player and they're not going to continue in the tournament and they're going to like pull out completely and you're going to replace them. So the likelihood that an alternate plays is low, but I think she's going. I think there's no way Emma Hayes doesn't see what she has here. They need to convince this player to sign with the United States, be a United States player instead of a Dutch player. So I think some way, somehow, they're going to take her to the Olympics. There is always the chance that this swaps around and maybe Yohannes goes and Hayes really puts herself out there and does something a little bit unexpected. And in that case, I think Corbin Albert would be the understudy, so to speak. So I think both of them are going. It's just kind of a question of like, how does this actually work out? With this group of 16 players, I have 6 forwards, 5 midfielders, which means I only have space for 2 more forwards for a total of 5 forwards. Someone is not making it. I feel like I'm like hosting The Bachelor right now. This is kind of weird. I think it's going to be Miss Alex Morgan. And one of the key reasons I think that is because of stuff like this.
Reese's Legendary Cup and the new medal shape? That's like trying to pick between Alex Morgan and Sophia Smith.
You don't have to choose.
She puts butts in seats, she sells jerseys, and I don't think anybody wants to have to tell Mr. Reese's to update that copy from potential Olympian to stay-at-home mom. With Alex at number 17, that means my last place on this roster is going to Jaden Shaw. I think she's done enough to make it happen. I think the benefit of taking Shaw outweighs the risk of taking Dunn. Yes, that's going to be a difficult conversation. Yes, it's going to be a little bit awkward, but, you know, you're not going to avoid a tough conversation at the cost of potentially not winning the Olympics. So it's a brutal business. I don't envy Coach Hayes right now, but I trust that she's going to put together a really fantastic roster. Might look a little bit different from this, but who knows? This is kind of what I think might happen based on the film and being a little bit adventurous with the roster. Really hope you guys enjoyed this. If you did, please go ahead and subscribe. I would really, it would just validate my decision to spend more time in the dungeon making videos and less time by the pool. So just let me know if you liked it. All right, thanks. See you soon.